I was rolling. Oh man, welcome back to another episode of Mike and Dylan Hate Drama. We are recording an hour and a half late? We've been trying to post a video to TikTok, but apparently the TikTok servers are down. They need to get on their shit. Obviously, they're having problems at home, but every time I try to upload a video, it will not play for people.
I couldn't tell when you were coming in or out of that voice. Like you were doing it and then you weren't doing it, and I was like,
It got kind of good. I was like, oh fuck, I'm a little special. I'm just a little. I've been touched a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Not by an angel. I'm a grandpa.
We'll get into that one later.
Will we get into that later? Probably not.
Not on this podcast.
I don't think that's a. We can get into it. Fuck it. All right. So here's the thing. My papa used to be a very hands-on type of guy. All right, if you catch my drift, he liked to squeeze the family jewels,
and not just his own.
Correct, not just his own. I remember back in like 4th grade, he was giving me a ride somewhere, and he was like, "What would you do if a grown man asked you to suck his dick?" And little Michael was just like, "I don't call the cops." And he had touched other people in the family, allegedly. I don't know if Papa could sue me from the grave, but I'm going to say allegedly. But he was definitely weird for asking that question. I do look back on that time, and I'm like, man, 8-year-old Mike, you knocked that answer out of the park. Like, fucking grade A answer right there, brother. The thing that gets me, though, is what was the other family members answering?
Yeah,
what I like. I don't know the answer that you give in that situation where, like, you make them comfortable enough to do it.
Well, you gotta not ask them either, because they've been through the ringer, so asking them might be slightly out of line. And
maybe he was just a less polite molester back then. Just didn't even ask.
Yeah, just
did it. Just did it and was like, fucking, we're gonna see what happens. I remember back when we were young, I was probably 5 or 6 years old. We lived in Jamestown, and we had this whole thing with CPS. And they brought me into a room, and they were like, has your grandpa ever touched your private parts? And I was like, that's gay. No, what? That's gay. Papa ain't ever done nothing. Ain't ever done nothing to me. Like, so when other people in the family were telling me about their experiences, I was like, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and side with you, because any old person that would ask a little kid that, I'm just gonna assume probably diddled the biscuits. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man, little Mike, fucking, it was like, fuck you, CPS worker. My mom was just like, yeah, you go in there and tell him he didn't do nothing. And I was like, I don't even know what that means.
No, you tell the truth. That's what you tell your
bro.
kid.
Families love to protect the child molester. The family. They'll be like, all right, guys, Uncle Bill's coming over, so go ahead and put on some clothes. Don't be running around here in short shorts. Don't let him in the fucking house.
Yeah.
Right. Like, fucking, if my wife was just like, hey, I got a family member coming over, and I don't trust the kids dressed the way they are. I'm like, are you telling me this because you want me to execute them in the back? Because I'll execute them in the back.
Yeah, there's a problem with the situation, and it's not the kids.
Right.
Clothes.
But so many families do that, man. They love to protect the diddler.
Yeah.
Which, man, how good of a brother did he have to be back when he was a kid to the family for them to still protect him? Like, that's a quality brother. If it's a shitty brother, you ain't gonna protect him like that. Old people, I don't know.
I think it's just a different day and age. I think back in the day, people used to try
really
to
family, like Vin Diesel shit.
Yeah, and just cover up stuff. I mean, it's the same thing with churches and Boy Scouts and all that other stuff. Like, that stuff went on a lot. And then allegedly, yeah.
Don't sue us, Boy Scouts of America, because I ain't even got money. That's why we spent 2 hours trying to fucking post a TikTok video that wouldn't even post. I'm so upset about that.
Yeah, they'll get it worked out. But
them skank bitches.
At least yesterday's did pretty good, and a lot of people decided to not get the Mike uppercut.
Right, yeah, I think that's the most shirts we sold in a day.
To explain to anybody that might not have seen that one, Mike allegedly threatened people with a Mike uppercut if they didn't buy a t-shirt from LaborLama.
That's my favorite word, allegedly. But yeah, I mean, anything that someone had commented on one of the podcast sites, I think it might have been Spotify, They were just like, man, Mike, I like to hear about your past. I'm glad every episode you go into it. I'm like, that's just like, that's essentially what comedy is just like making fun of your past
Trauma.
Yeah. Like, we got two options. It's either fucking make a joke about it or kill yourself. And I love me way too much to kill myself. So I'm the one person you ain't got to worry about. But also, like, so people will not go into a molestation story. Even if I got my balls like diddled right there in that van, I'd still talk about it. Like, fucking what? People are like, oh, that's embarrassing. How the fuck is that embarrassing? I was a kid.
You got victimized.
Right. Fucking like someone, imagine you meet this adorable little kid and you're like, yeah, that kid got molested. And you're just like, fucking nerd. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me out here getting molested. And did you even try to fight back? Sir, I'm 4. Dylan is turning off the AC unit. So that's why he has stepped away really quickly. You can't hear it on the mics, though. The mics are pretty good. I do have to give Dylan kudos for setting up the technology, because without Dylan's knowledge and technology, and if it was just me running a podcast, you would hear every sound that I heard, and also I would have an echo.
Yeah, no, we've had fights over equipment a lot of times, and whenever I actually get to show Mike what I know about the equipment, he's like, you were right about that. Because like for the longest time he was talking about, it wasn't this mic, but there's another mic that I have, and he's just like, no, that one's terrible. Like, I have this $1,000 mic, it sounds way better. And I was like, it's not, it's how you use it, it's the tool, it's not. And Mike's like, no man, this one's it, we got to use this one. And so we went around always holding a boom, trying to do all this stuff, and so we had to have an extra person.
We had a friend buy a boom mic for the mockumentary that we were doing. And I don't know, they were just like, oh, this one's expensive, so it must be good. Which they have a lot of money, so they have that luxury in life. Me and Dylan have to do research. We have to actually look at reviews and shit like that. But yeah, Dylan with just little wireless mics shit on the boom Sennheiser. That was just... we actually talked about that today, how Mike will be like, hey, we need to, get something to make this better. And Dylan will be like, no, we won't. And then after, if we end up doing it, I'll be like, man, that was the worst purchase ever.
Wasted all that money. And yeah.
But I mean, you being right about the audio and shit is like me being right about the comedy, because I love bringing it up. I had this idea of like, what if, like, a little backstory about me and Dylan. The reason we make mockumentaries and short films and stuff like that is we want to make movies. So we're always like, coming up with ideas and stuff like that. So we came up with this idea for a movie where the black guy who always dies first in a horror movie, and the funny guy who like dies right before the character that everybody wants to die, he dies, or the funny guy and the black guy in the movie, and essentially they become self-aware that they're in a horror movie. And Dylan was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool at the very end if everybody was just playing a prank on them?
No, the way you were telling the story, you told it and you're like, blah, 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 and then they have to be like the love interest so that they don't die.
I'm looking at you like when SpongeBob. I'm looking at Dylan. If you're only listening to this,
if you listen to the 20-minute tirade that you went on and then you got to that point.
Every time I have an idea for a movie, I go on a 20-minute tirade.
No, usually it's like when he gets a movie idea, like you hear not only the actual script of the movie, like he won't go into all the dialogue, but he'll go into extreme depth about all the details. So it's like watching not only the movie, but like the behind the scenes commentary of it. And so you get like this whole big picture, and literally he'll go through almost a pack of cigarettes out there just talking through a movie.
I have like an autism about it, man. I'm passionate. God, I'm passionate.
No, it's great because you get the full thing laid out. But like on that one, we were on the phone. I was going to pick up my daughter at school, and he's sitting there going through it. And then he talks about like their love interest, like they're supposed to like,
because the cycle's been essentially destroyed in the way a horror movie goes. Like I explained, the black guy dies first, and then you have like 2 off characters that'll die, and then the character that everybody loves the most that is supposed to die, and they're supposed to die, they die right before the dickhead of the group or whatever, the person they just met, that person dies. So essentially when I'm just going to explain the movie now. Look at this.
Okay,
buckle up, bitches.
It's gonna be a 2-hour podcast.
Buckle up, bitches. All right, so essentially, the funny guy and the black guy, they go on a beer run, and everybody there does like acid or something like that, and they get attacked by a murderer. Well, since the black guy wasn't there, he did not die first. So it fucked up the whole
It's like Final Destination.
Yeah, it fucked up the whole formula of how someone was going to die, which causes them to become like sentient and self-aware that there are horror movies, that there are, and in the beginning of the movie, the funny guy's like acting all stupid, like he's like catching a football, and the black guy, he's just like, he just has a shirt that just says athlete on it or sports. That's it. They're really stereotypical characters. And then when the reality breaks, they kind of go back into fucking they become normal people, like
Yeah, it
normal
almost becomes
thinking.
a real actual
Correct.
horror movie, not like a
Right.
spoof.
They almost act as a fourth wall without acting like a fourth wall. Like they don't truly break fourth wall, but within kind of like the concept of the film, they break fourth wall. So since everything's fucked up, you know how there's always like a guy and a girl, the girl, she's got a mysterious past, and the guy, he's fucking, he's like the loner type, and they fucking end up falling in love. It fucks with a lot of cliches. So that formula has been broken. So there's a part in the movie where they think the way to kill the bad person or the monster or whatever is that since everybody's death has been altered and everything like that, they're essentially the leads now, and the lead's always one guy, one girl, and they think they have to have like the romance scene before they can get to the killing the creature scene, where like they embrace or something like that. It's not full on sex. That happens at the beginning of a horror movie, and both people who partake in the sex always die. So it's essentially based on a slasher, which I mean a lot of horror movies.
And when he got to that point, like I thought it was funny,
but that's been done in a movie though.
They've completely faked their friends out just to get them to like admit that they were actually interested in each other.
I'm trying to remember
then as soon as I did that, like you just blasted me and would not let me, like, even that's like 6 months ago we talked about this. I do want like still...
I that is like one of my biggest passions is like writing movies and shit like that. So I am always like researching shit and looking at shit, and the biggest cliche is that it didn't happen. Like back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s, and a little bit with the like 2000s, it was okay to do that, but now it's just completely frowned upon. And actually there's a movie from the 80s where it's a slasher movie, and then at the end it ends up being an April Fool's joke.
See, but I think that like to say you can't do something simply because it's either like, I mean, every single movie that's out right now has been done before. Every single like story structure.
But you have to do it. You have to do it well.
Yeah, but that's the thing is it's a horror comedy, so like you could pull one of those and do a different twist at the end. It's more so on how you lay it. Like the only thing that I'll fight for is that it would be hilarious and it's not the dumbest idea in the world. You have made it out like it's like literally the dumbest idea in the world, but like it has worked, it does work, and I'm not saying that like that's the route we should travel, but like you have kicked me in the dick 1,000 times over this.
Or you could have done it like they think they killed the monster, and then it like pops out at the end and it freeze frames, and it was like, if you don't want nasty teeth like this, Crest toothpaste. That's all a Crest tooth. Yeah, it's all a fucking just one big ad.
Well, now we can't fucking do that because there's gonna be
oh god, 300 people's gonna listen to that. Fucking be like, oh, well, I know exactly how this movie goes because Mike explained it.
Commercial,
right? Yeah, fucking Crest. I'm gonna go watch this new horror movie and enjoy the Crest commercial. What?
That would be great though. That would be
right. People are so cynical when it comes to movies too. Like I understand there are movies made that you could just have fun watching, like the Mario movie. When I love that when Rotten Tomatoes shit on the Mario movie, and everybody was like, "Fuck you, that movie was fun," and like it was.
Well, you always get so many people like, and I'm not saying that you're this way with this concept, but like you get the people that like, I mean, when I watched like Step Brothers for the first time, or Anchorman, Dodgeball, like all these like great comedy movies, I initially went into them thinking like from the trailers and all the things that I've seen about them that they were going to be a certain way, and then when I watched it I was like, that wasn't the movie that I thought I was going to watch.
Right.
But then you watch it a second time and it's the fucking greatest movie ever because you're not expecting that. And like there's so many of these people that are so pretentious and uptight and think that they like
but also
be
think
the
of trailer,
judge and jury.
Think of trailers right now. Trailers are fucking 9 minutes long. I feel
like
it's
the whole fucking movie.
It's the whole movie. Like I'm like, I know everything that happens.
Yeah.
Like they show characters dying in trailers now.
I can put the whole story together and know which, some people want that, but like for the most part, no, you should leave some mystery to.
All right, guys, we have 3 Am I the Assholes today because nobody has really submitted advice. You can submit advice if you want. You've heard how the first bit of this podcast is went. If you want me and Dylan to advocate for some kind of problem in your life, you can go to mikeanddylan.com, MikeandDylan.com.
How do you do that every time?
Did I get it right again?
You can't read one of these without like 15 stumbles.
I felt like I fucked up like twice in that. I'm pretty sure I spelled and wrong.
No.
I'll be able to see it when I edit this.
You said MIKE.
I'd kill for enough money for an editor. That's, man. Because like.
Anybody want to volunteer?
Yeah, that taking that much time and then now I got to go fucking edit it. Which, shout out SnapPod. We got this little software that kind of does it, almost, and that's just dope.
Yeah, it gets it like 90% of the way there.
Look, they just got free advertisement. My fucking.
They're literally like a low key.
I'm gonna go get my money. Fuck that. Ain't nobody getting free. Listen, erase what you just heard me say. All right, they ain't getting nothing free on here. Let's grab the first Am I the Asshole? People love these Am I the Assholes on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, and I would say 90%, 99% of the people listening have probably came from one of those avenues. But if you are a new listener, apparently I'm about to sodden your britches because people love hearing
mean?
Sodden, to moisten.
See, you taught me a new word.
Creamalize.
Creamalize?
Yes,
that's a word.
Like a thick paste that an old woman would secrete.
That's in detail, man.
Fucking belly hurts now. So, am I the asshole for saying no child support, no opinion? I mean, I can get a good gist of what this is going to be about. So I'm going to say not the asshole. I want to do see, on here I have more liberty. I ain't got to be like exciting and fun, even though we do all those one take, and I've not even read the story. All those takes that you see is just me reacting right there. I'm just pretty good at it because like I said, I'm fucking molested, man. Come on, I got to be funny. That's the only option I have. I wasn't going to be smart. Jesus. I, 17, think I might have to explain how I was born for context. If someone started off a story like that, I'd be like, no, man, we ain't doing this. Like, I'm going to have to walk away. It's not long, so that's good. My mom has 2 friends. I'll call them Amelia and Jessica. Jessica's husband cheated on her with Amelia, getting her pregnant. Trouble in paradise. But Jessica forgave them. Dummy. Then he cheated on her with my mom. Jessica still forgave him and forgave my mom, which makes me think she's probably the most forgiving person on the planet. Mm-hmm. Anyways, my mom insisted that Jessica's husband is my father, but he always denied it up until several months ago when he realized how much we look alike. You know what? We are both black. No, just fuck. Oh, God. So he agreed to do a DNA test. Turns out he is my father. So 2 affair children by 2 different women for him. Mm-hmm. Bro, wrap it up. You gotta,
those are the people that multiply. Like
right.
The shitbags multiply.
You got to put, as soon as a dude is like, you know what, I'm never going to get a job, he has signed away his destiny to have 16 children.
Yeah.
That seems like it all, like no one's ever just like, yeah, man, fucking my mom slept with this guy and then got pregnant with me and he's a millionaire. He's got his shit together, runs a business and stuff. Like, he just doesn't love me, but fucking
they're
whatever.
out there too.
Right. When he dies, I'm trying to make a bid for it, but I wish that would have been me though, man. Bro, I'm not gonna lie. So people, I don't know if I've ever explained this in the podcast. So I haven't. All right, I'm gonna get through this and we're gonna explain.
Yeah, that's one thing that
we're gonna explain my birth, the events around my birth. So in later podcasts when I reference shit, like I referenced 2 dads walking out a couple podcasts ago, you'll understand what I'm saying. But we're gonna finish this first.
Yeah, that's one comment that somebody said was too much banter in between the story, so they kind of lost where the story was at and where we were going, and so
no, fuck it. Sorry, we'll try hard not to do that, but I'm gonna get back to the story. All right. He has been visiting about once a month, but things are still awkward between us. I was reading a romance novel when he told me I'm too young for those books and said I must stop reading them. I told him I won't, but he said I have to listen to him since he's my father. So I said no child support, no opinion. He seemed pretty stung by it. Was it too? No, it wasn't too much. Was it too much?
Not at all.
Like, brother, we can fight. Like, what are you talking about? Even if you were my real dad, we can go outside and fight about this. 17 years old? Yeah, we're boxing, bro.
Well, see, and the thing is like I thought it was gonna be like baby mama saying like, like dad came back in the picture and so he's not paying child support. But no, the kid, like that kid owes that dad nothing.
Not a
nothing
damn thing. And you ain't gonna parent. I'm 17.
Well, and they were best friends, so like he's been around this whole time.
And knowing that was a possibility. And he's just like,
nah.
Huh. And then one day he was just like,
I'm your daddy.
Oh my God. Whoa. Damn. No. And then 10 years later, he was finally like, okay, yeah, I see it.
And I'm sorry, but like a 17-year-old girl that wants to read whatever the fuck she wants to read, like
Was that a girl?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Well, what 17-year-old boys reading romance novels?
Gay one. All right,
Canceled.
so we'll get into the birth lore. All right, so I have 2 brothers and a sister from my mom. They're all 3 from the same guy. So him and my mom break up, get divorced. He's alive, so I don't want to get sued. He's a weird cult preacher guy, preaches from his barn. But so they break up, and then my mom gets with this other guy who does like a bunch of drugs, which I see where I get it from now. But she ends up getting pregnant with me. So he gives her money for an abortion. And my mom always proudly says, but I didn't take that money to get an abortion. I went and bought a crib. I was like, bitch, I could have avoided all this. All of this. None of this had to happen. I didn't even have to be self-aware. I didn't have to know about life, death, taxes, nothing. So she gives me a crib and everything. Well, my brother's dad got back with my mom. And he was like, oh, I'm going to sign his birth certificate. I'm going to be his father. I'm going to step up and I'm going to raise this kid, which I'd never do it. But you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of solid guys out there that would do that. But he too, then, once him and my mom divorced, like fucking nothing to do with me. So yeah, I like to tell people I had 2 dads walk out on me.
Well, tell them about like how you because you didn't know.
Oh yeah. So I didn't know. I was just like, so it'd be so weird. We'd be out in the front yard playing, and then he'd pull up and take my 2 other brothers, and then he'd just drive off. And I'm just like, man, that dude does not love me. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, why? And that used to fuck with me when I was a little kid. But he's like, yeah, like, so I'm gonna fucking break down in this and start crying. Just all this repent anger. But it used to fuck with me real hard. So I was around like 10 or something like that. And I remember my dad had took my brothers. We were real poor, so we didn't have cable. And I was a big wrestling fan. So he took my 2 other brothers to go watch wrestling at his house. And, they actually had money so they could like eat shit. So he's on the way back and he's like, they all used to like talk through these CBs, which is the lamest shit ever. But I mean, if you're poor, any way you can talk to your father, cool. So he was like, oh yeah, I'll make it up to you. And I'll take you in 2 weeks. And I said something to him. I was like, you're a fucking liar or something like that, which my mom was cool with me saying. But then I laid down in bed and she said, well, you shouldn't be too heartbroken because that's not your father anyways. I'm like, what do you mean? And she fucking walked away. Like, what the, bitch, why are you dropping little, hints like that? But my grandma, ever since I was a little kid, she would just be like, that's not your dad. But she was the only one that said it. So I was like, Mama's crazy. Like, yeah. Mama's out here tripping. She just didn't like him. So I thought my mom was just talking shit all the time. And then I think I was around 12 or 13 when my grandma started talking about the guy's name. His name's Dana Donnelly's. So my mom, she's a bit of a character, and she did not know how to pronounce or spell his last name. So it made it really, she'd be like, yeah, we're country too. So she'd be like, yeah, his name was Dana Donnelly's. I was like, can you slow it down.
Enunciate it.
Slow, yeah. Kind of, use your lips to say the words, like really get it out there. And she'd be like, yeah, his name's Dan Donnelly. I'm like, you're skipping fucking half of it, Mom. So, and what's crazy is I asked my grandma, she'd be like, yeah, his name's Dan Donnelly. And I'm like, all right, they're my grandma's from West Virginia, so that gives
write it down.
Yeah, it gives you an idea. They didn't know how to spell it either, so that gives you an idea. So this whole time, I'm like, maybe he is my dad. So also, I think I was around like 19 or 20. I started working, and all my brothers didn't work, so I looked really successful out of my brothers. If you have siblings that don't do anything, but you do even a trace of something, you look like the successful one. So he's like, trying to get back in my life and stuff, and wanting to hang out. And
Your actual dad?
No.
Oh, your second dad.
Yeah. But we ended up getting to an argument about something because he like when I say he would take my brothers and not me, he would never come around anyways. Like my brothers have a shit dad. And then, as he got old, he was like, oh, well, I need people to take care of me. So then he'll be like, hey, yeah, why don't you come to the house and do some yard work for me and do this for me and do this for me?
Why don't you go get fucked?
Right. And then he tried that shit on me. And I was like, fuck you, man. Like, I remember, like, I would be waiting on the porch. But I remember, I don't know if I could tell this story without, like, tearing up a little bit. And we'll put this behind a paywall. Nah. But I remember it was like my 10th or 11th birthday. And, he told me, he was like, yeah, I'm going to come get you and take you to like a carnival or something like that. And I remember, like, I was like, man, he lies so much, I shouldn't believe him. But he always sounded genuine and is a great liar. Like 10 out of 10, one of the best.
You're a kid. So, like, I mean, you want to believe the best of people. Like, I mean, even, like, you haven't been kicked in the dick enough to be like, I can't trust him ever. Like,
I mean, I should have been at that
point.
I should have been at that point. I was like a fucking abused victim.
Yeah.
It was like, he'll get better. But I remember, at my grandma's house, I'd call him, and there's one thing he'd always do when we called. We would call him. He would always promise that he was going to be there. Like, he'd say he'd come for, like, Christmas or some shit like that. And then we would call him on the phone, and he would unplug his fucking phone cord. But when he unplugged his phone cord, it never went to voicemail, so it just ring and ring and ring. So that's all we heard. We just call him, and it'd ring and ring and ring and ring. I remember I was like crying and shit like that. And then my grandma reacted, well, she's like, that's not your daddy, all right? That's not your daddy, Mike. That's how she always did it. I to this day, call my brothers. I'll be like, hello. And they're like, hey, mama. I'm like, bro, check the caller ID. It's me, bro.
It's a cell phone, man. It tells you who's
I do
calling.
it so well. You never talked to my grandma, have you?
Mm-mm.
He's been over to our house. That's an experience. We'll get into that another day. I got the craziest fucking Dylan will tell you, I got the weirdest, craziest fucking Twilight Zone family. But I think so we're gonna fast forward to, like I said, he tried to get me to do all that shit. I'm like, I'm not doing that shit for you, bro. I work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I ain't got time. Like, the time I get, I'm spending with my kids. I don't give a fuck about you. So we got into an argument one day, and he said something about, like, his wife is like a real preppy bitch. I don't give a fuck. I've never cared about her. You know what I'm saying? He'd be like, that's your stepmom. That bitch ain't shit to me. Now, more so than ever, doubly not shit. So he had said, or she had said something. Well, I was like, shut the fuck up, like something like that. And he was like, well, you can't talk to her like that. I can talk it to anybody, however I please. Like, you were a bitch when you were a kid, like when I was a kid, and now you want to be, now that you need shit, you want people to take care of you. So that's the first time he said, well, you ain't my son anyways. So then, where do I go from here? So one time, actually, here's something really funny. I used to fight a lot in school, so my stepdad put me in like various martial arts, all right, because it would teach me discipline. It just taught me how to fight better, all right. It made it a lot easier to fight the kids at school. I was losing up until this point, and then I was like, I learned how to do like a straight jab and a hip toss, and I was fucking off to the races. No high schooler besides like the
cheat code.
Yeah, like the wrestling kids, they know how to fight on the ground, but once you get to a high school on the ground, he's like, I don't fucking. They just start flopping around. So he called me up one day, and he said that one of these guys that they were friends with wanted to box me. And I was like, well, I'm not good at boxing, but I know that, a jab and a straight, and I'm going to beat this guy, because I knew who the guy was. So I go down there, and I box him, I beat him, and he was like, well, why don't you box me? Now, for reference, you would think that guy's my dad because he's fat as shit. He's like 500 pounds, really, like dead-ass 500 pounds. So, a fat kid, I was always like, that's got to be my dad. Look how fat we are. Like, that's really, like, when I was a kid, I was like, bro, look. Like, obviously, I got my fat from somewhere. Like, it's just fucking genetic. But I did get to beat him up. So that's, like, the one solace I get in life. So, finally, Amy starts like, she's like, I think you should like find the answer to that. That's something really big. You don't want
For your actual dad.
right. Yeah. She's like, you don't like, even if he's not like, even if he is your actual dad, this story gets much darker, by the way. And I don't even think I've told you. I might have told you about it.
Yeah, you've told me.
Yeah, it gets much darker, and we're not going to go into that because then it involves other people's trauma, and I'm not going to do that. I'll talk about mine or somebody I don't like. We'll include their trauma. I gotta get some more water. But
Well, see, I think the biggest thing with that though is like he had the opportunity to, when he left your mom, still be dad. Like, I mean,
or just not
like,
be.
well, like he signed the birth certificate. He said he was gonna be there. Like, once you promise that, and like it's not to your mom, it's to you. It's like if you take on a kid, whether it's adopted or a step kid or anything like that, like you took it on, and like if they have no other figure for that, like if you still had like your biological dad, you don't need him anymore. But if your biological dad is not in the picture at all, and you said, I'm signing the birth certificate, I'm going to be there, you made a fucking promise to the kid.
You know what's wild too? And I give my stepdad shit. He was not great at all. And he did drugs. But it's so wild that a guy who did drugs and did not in the slightest sign up to be a father. Let's not like, we're not going to, when he met my mom, he was like, look, I'm not a dad figure.
So this is a third dad, right?
This is this stepdad now.
Okay.
Yep.
So like you have your biological dad,
Yep.
you have
Yep.
your fake dad, and now a third dad.
Yeah, you're a very good interviewer, by the way. I just want to say I feel comfortable right now.
Well, I just want to know for the audience too, like that we're keeping everything in order so that they
right.
Can,
I don't
they
want
can
them to
pay
get
attention.
confused.
Yeah.
Right, because me, once again, I have ADHD. I cannot.
This is a third father, so really you had three.
Yeah. But he stayed. He stayed the whole time until I moved out when I was 16, which involved problems between me and him. Though we were always, but it's crazy that he, like I said, a drug addict who did not sign up to be a dad, did more for me than two guys who were dad. That's a wild thing to think about. But so Amy really gets on to me about, she's like, you need to figure it out because there's going to be a day where you're not going to be able to do it anymore. And so I was like, we'll fucking, we half-ass looked from the time I was 20. And then finally, I'm talking to my grandpa, and he's like, yeah, I mean, it was like Don, he couldn't get the name. He was like, but I know where he lived. And I was like, well, could you show me where because I know he had moved to California after my mom got pregnant with me. So we go down and I get the address, and I'm like, fuck, I could find his name out through the address. And fucking sure as shit, 2 weeks later, I had the guy's name. So I just look him up, and of course he has a Facebook. He had passed away. He had passed away like a couple months. It was not long. It was like maybe 5 or 6 months before I fucking found out who he was. That's how close I was to being like, at least I want to call him a bitch or something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But so I find him. I send the picture to my mom, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's him, baby. That's him. You look just like him." And it's like this old gremlin looking dude. And I'm like, I don't fucking look like him.
Come on, man.
Yeah, calm down, bitch. Which, hey, I'm so glad the other guy wasn't my dad though, because you see my brothers and sisters, boy. I love them. I love them because I have to. But whew, that's an ugly bunch of characters. So from there, I discovered that I had 5 more brothers. Well, I discovered he had 5 kids. What was really interesting is he had a kid in Colorado, another one. This dude has so many. I got so many brothers, and that he only has boys. Like the only sister I have came from my mom's side, but he has right now that we know of like 6 or 7 or some shit like that. Which, I mean, if you've seen any of my videos, I tell you, blood ties mean nothing. Like yeah. I do not care about blood ties. I especially don't care about blood ties if I'm just meeting you now that we're 30. If you ever discover you are my brother, though, if you're listening to this, and he had a fuck ton of kids. So if you're ever listening to this and you're like, oh, I want to say hey, definitely say hey. But Jesus Christ, the ones I met. But he had another would-be son in Colorado, and he had the idea. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna do an ancestry test to see if I like match with any of their family. And I didn't say I was gonna do it also, but I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. So Amy gets me one. So he gets his test results back first, and he was like, I'm not really seeing anybody in the family because, once you do second, third cousin, everybody's got different last names and shit like that. So then I get mine back, and I matched with him as my brother. And he's always been in fucking New Mexico, Colorado, whatever. He's always been over that area, never been to North Carolina, anywhere near North Carolina. So the fact that that's who, I only got into contact with him because they said, that's another would be. And then we matched as brothers. So that was like definitive 100%. That guy was my dad.
See, and that's the wild thing.
Oh, wait. So, and this is the coolest part, and I've used it in stand-up too. I did a lot of stand-up before I did anything with social media. Except for I love my kids more. Dylan will tell you. If anything involves us traveling, I'm like, let's just not do it because I want to go home at night to my family. I care more about being a dad.
Well, on top of that, you've got other issues that keep you from traveling.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about that in another podcast.
I'm pretty agoraphobic. I hate traveling. But I like being home with the kids. And I used to tell a joke because he died at the age of 72 from a heroin overdose.
That's tough.
That's not tough. That's amazing. Like all my friends, I have no more friends left because of heroin. Technically fentanyl, but to make it to 72,
for him, it might have been fentanyl too.
To make it to 72, like watch Requiem for a Dream, man. That's what they're going through. And that man was like, I'm gonna do that till I'm 72, pussies. Like,
because he was doing it back when, like, way back in the day, probably too. Right?
Yeah. He fucking did it his whole life. Yeah. Heroin his whole life. If I don't do heroin, bro, I'm pretty sure I'm immortal. Like it's gonna take something real. I mean, fentanyl will do it because fentanyl fucking.
But like what I was gonna say about like the family thing, like my dad, when his dad walked out on him, my grandpa came in and like took over dad duties and was awesome. But when when his biological dad died, though, like he went to the funeral because like he didn't know him, whatever, but like some of his brothers and sisters were going, and so he went. And they went down there, and homie had like another like 12 kids. Like it was just like one of those things where he went down and had like a whole nother part of a family. And so, back in the day, that was just like normal, just to like dip out on a whole family and go start a new one.
So I remember I met I never met him in person, just online. Thank God for that. You don't have to meet people in person anymore. But so the first one I meet is his oldest son, who has like his first name. Once again, I'm not going to dox people. Well, he hit me up like 6 months ago. I was like, bro, I fucking see you everywhere. I love your stuff. I didn't even know that was you. I was like, I have gotten a lot fatter. Yes. Yes, I have.
Actually, you yo-yoed down.
No. So 2022, I was 190. And then I went to fucking like, I became supervisor, and then I went to fucking like 260 pounds. And then I got real into content creation, went up to 320 pounds, and was like, fuck this shit. My back hurts for no reason. Like me, I don't give a fuck what I look like. Yeah, I can tell. I have no shame, especially with how I speak. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'll tell you everything. As long as it doesn't like impact somebody else. Like, as long as someone doesn't see this and like get sad.
Yeah.
That I love. Now, I'm talking, my brother's dad, I don't give a fuck about any of them people, but, yeah, I'll fucking air it out. I don't give a fuck. We'll really deluge into because I mean, I've had like my wife, when I tell her, she's just like, I'm so fucking sad. I was like, I turned out good. Like, what are you talking about? And she'll always try to get me with sad shit. Like I said, she did the whole thing the other day because I was like down. Because, we bust our ass to make this content shit like that, man. And people think, I mean, maybe other content creators are fucking killing it. But me and Dylan, I guess because we don't do the shady shit, fucking nothing. For 2.5 million views is what, 180 bucks. So, I mean, we get fucking raked over the coals.
Well, they do good. They do good, and then like the next month, it's like, okay, well, if you're gonna do
right,
that,
yeah,
that's the new bottom, and so they don't pay shit, and you have to keep.
Yeah, so we'll have 6 months where like we're behind and struggling to pay bills, and then we'll have this like really good month because we started doing the whole "Am I the Asshole" thing, and people really like that. And then we're like, oh, okay, hey, maybe there's like a light at the end of the tunnel, fucking, because we've been fucking every day here, just fucking trying to figure out how to make this shit work for a year and a half. And then it starts to work, and we're like, fuck yes, maybe we can get out of this. And then it's like, TikTok was like, we're going to cut your RPMs. And then Facebook was like, yeah, we're just going to just take away monetization altogether for you. I was like, you dirty bitches, I didn't even do anything.
Yeah.
And that was so funny too, because so we did, Meta's the worst. Conveniently, the Meta, when they took away the monetization, I love podcasts because you can get into shit like this. So I hit Dylan up one day, and I'm like, bro, you're never going to believe who I just talked to. And he's like, who? I was like, a representative for Meta. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, they want to have a meeting with us. So he's like, about what? I'm like, I have no idea. But obviously that meant like something good. So, you know, we're like a little bit excited. We've been going through the shit. And this was what, last month?
No, this was like February or like January. It was a while ago.
I think it was February because it wasn't that long ago.
No.
If I say a month ago, that means it probably happened within like 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I'm like, ooh, that shit happened like a year ago, man, that shit happened when I was like 14. But, we get here and we're doing the whole meeting with them.
Oh, we set it up to the nines. Like, we set up like this for him to have a meeting. So, because like we do want to represent ourselves, like we are professional, even though we were doing a lot of like cell phone videos at the time. We wanted to just like put it all on there because we thought it was going to be a great opportunity to talk to somebody at Meta. And sorry to interrupt.
Did not turn out like that. No, and I mean, fucking, that's the one thing too. So when
tell them what happened though, like because
I'm gonna get into that, but I was gonna talk good about you for a second. If you shut the fuck up and let me talk good about you, God,
I talk over you.
Let me get a little bit gay here. God, let me fucking serenade the people with fucking brotherly love. But like I said, when I told Dylan that he had fucking when I came here, he had like he said, the most professional looking shit set up. I mean, Dylan has all the equipment that, I mean, fucking, you know, top of the line people use. He's been doing this for a long time. He's very, very good at it. So he has like this really awesome thing set up. The way it looks, like we got into this fucking meeting with Meta, and their shit was just shit. Like it was just
a webcam.
Yeah, and they had like a fake green screen behind them, and they were like their head was glitching. This is real Meta, like fucking real Meta email. Michael is not easily scammed, and except for next week I will be on Joe Rogan because all I had to do was give him my social security number and a $500 deposit.
Yeah.
I made that joke on Facebook like a couple months ago and people loved it. Last night I made the, do y'all know when Oblivion's coming to the Soulja Boy console? You don't know that joke, but that's a funny fucking joke. But we're sitting there talking to them and it was for Instagram. And they were like, yeah, so we're rolling out this new thing where we want you to prioritize Instagram and do all this stuff for Instagram. And
we had to post like 30 or like we had to post like a couple more than we post anywhere else.
And then we had to shout out Instagram on,
and we had to make exclusive content only for Instagram that couldn't go on any other platforms. Like it was all this like rigmarole.
Right. And so this is not long after, or it might have been right as Joe Rogan. It came out like a week after Joe Rogan just like grilled Mark Zuckerberg, which did nothing. I mean, you still have no fucking, you can't express yourself at all on that fucking platform. And I was just like, you know, the deal was for how much? I can't remember.
It was like $2,000 or something like that. But like the thing was, is like
a month though.
They never.
Yeah, it was a month. Like it was a monthly payment. Like
for 3 months was what the agreement was. They were gonna do it for 3 months, but like each month you'd get like $2,000 but you had to follow every single stipulation.
I think it was higher than $2,000 though.
I don't think it was. It might have been 3 to 5, but like I
think it was $5,000 because I told Amy. And she was like, you shot down 15,000. I remember that exactly. Yeah, it was 5,000 a month for 3 months. And like I said, when you are starving, that's a lot of fucking money. Like there's people that's going to listen to this. Like even people like shit's so fucking hard, man. $5,000 a month, that's pretty decent. But we just couldn't fucking do it. Like,
but it was also selling out you guys. Like,
right, yeah. Like now I have to tell everybody I gotta go be like, oh, come to Instagram on fucking other platforms. I might shit on TikTok and they might pay shit, but guess what? They have paid. Like that is one thing I can say about TikTok is they have paid. How many videos do we get taken down from TikTok? And if they accidentally take one down, I'll just be like, hey, y'all fucked up, and they'll be like, oh, we did fuck up. Yeah, like, this is a perfectly good video, which. That's what I can't stand creators on TikTok because they'll be like, you know, they censor so much. No, they just don't want you to be like, oh, you that fat, dirty piece of shit. Like, you can't call somebody that. That's fucking bullying. Like, you know, don't bully people. You see how much shit I get away with.
Yeah.
There's plenty of comedians on TikTok and all that shit that fucking post on TikTok. They just don't fucking bully other people. And normally it's like, you know, two political sides. They'll be fucking bullying each other, cussing at each other, calling each other's names. So TikTok will be like, no, we can't have this on the platform. They'll take the video down and they'll be like, oh, fucking TikTok censoring us. Both sides will be talking about like they hate us. No, they just don't. They can't have you on there like calling.
Well, they want
names.
people to be happy and spend money.
Right, but I mean, it does grow a culture too, like when you're doing that. But yeah, Instagram wanted to do all this shit, and I mean, I told her, I was like, y'all have never that Instagram's never paid me a dime. So I was like, how am I going to prioritize a platform that has never cared about me ever? The people on there, we definitely have A big percentage of our, like the shirts we sell from LaborLama come from Instagram. Great people over there. But I cannot prioritize the platform when that platform has never, ever prioritized its creators. I'm not even going to just say just me, but its creators. Especially like, and people, because I said over Facebook and TikTok, and people got onto me, they're both meta. Yeah, they're ran by different people. Completely different sets of people. Like, they have their own fucking...
Well, if you get in the back end of that, like, it's chaos because they've acquired so many different things. And, like, in order to just run a business, there's, like, 15 pages of, like, you have to go over here to do this, but then over there to do this, and over there.
Yeah, Facebook, the wildest shit you'll see over there is, like, someone, like, dying blurred out. Instagram, you will see a full-on death. It's apples to oranges.
Yeah, just unclick the little icon. And
those two platforms. I'm pretty sure, like, the last time I'm on Instagram, as soon as I opened the app, it was just like a vagina, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, like, Twitter's the worst about that. Whew. I don't even. That's why I don't have Twitter. I'm not even going to fucking
X.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna lose Twitter. Like, it's always gonna be Twitter.
It's so hard too, man, because like how Google and X is so hard. Talking about X is so hard.
Especially if you accidentally click a couple more.
Because if you have a problem with X, you'll be like, TikTok always thinks you have a problem with blank. Like, no, not blank, X. Like, I'm not putting X as like a blank. I'm putting it as I have a problem with specifically X. It's just now getting like to that. Google's a shit show anyways. You'll be like, I don't know what you would Google where there'd be weird results, but I was going to try to come up with something real fast. Sometimes it is really hard to be funny 100% of the time. It's very, very difficult.
Well, that's why we edit, and that's why we
editing is beautiful, man. I'll fuck up so much, man, or I'll say something like real bad. Just take it out. That is the beauty of editing. But podcasts is as far as I can go with like I can't do anything live.
Yeah. Well, I think we should probably get back to these stories because
we'll give them. We're gonna do one more, and then we're gonna wrap up, guys. Let us know what you thought about the Mike's life stuff. Don't be like, oh, I got sad. Like I said, I turned out good. Little Mike knew the whole time that he was gonna be all right. Listen, if anything, he's like, guy, like Amy was like, how would he feel seeing you and being like, man, this is that. I'd be like, fuck, this is it. This is it. You're broke, dude. Like, I'll be like, yeah, but millions of people know who I am. I don't give a fuck. Bitch, do you think when I'm thinking about in my head laying down at night, do you think I'm thinking about crowds of people or do you think I'm thinking about money? I was like, money. I mean, I remember how you thought. Money. Listen, it sucks. This is why it sucks, okay? When you're known without, like, if you were rich without being known, that's the perfect. Like, if you're like these guys that own businesses and they just make like, $5 million, $6 million a year and nobody knows who the fuck they are. Because they run some kind of like, software or something like that. And a bunch of people don't know who they are. But then you got people like me where millions of people know who I am. I'm broke as fuck. Bro, going to the grocery store, I'll be dressed up just like a monster. Like I have like sweat stains under my armpits.
Chili beans.
I got a dog. Yeah, chili beans. Dylan knows I don't know how they design chili beans, but it's to fall off the fucking spoon.
He has to leave his shirts here, otherwise they will come back with just chili beans.
This is inside of your guys are getting like a sneak peek into this. Yeah, the shirts and stuff I wear, like if I'm wearing it for a video, I have to leave it here because I will get food on it. Because I eat like a caveman. I eat like I never seen food before, which when I was a kid.
So I think this is a good time to say, though, like, I mean, we did create LaborLama as one of the avenues to get us out of the rigmarole. I said that twice now, and I need to stop saying that. But, like, we
Did
created...
you say rigmarole twice?
Yeah. You can play it back and see it again. But
Hell yeah.
we created LaborLama because we did want to offer something, but we didn't want to just, do a bunch of dude wipe promotions or do things that you guys don't necessarily need. We figured you're gonna buy shirts anyways, so like if you thought that there was value in the messages that we have for our clothing, that's why we have like I do it for them and earn not given.
Right, and it has a deep blue collar base because essentially that's what we are. I mean, we might be shooting shit on cameras now and making jokes and stuff like that, but that's been us forever. Is just like, we were blue collar workers, and that whole life, we are too far in life for that to really change.
Yeah.
And when we came up with LaborLama, the thing is like, people would tell me all the time to like, hey, we want merch or something like that. So I went through like a print on demand company, and someone had gotten a shirt that was red, but the seam right here, the front's red and the back was like a light pink. And they were like, oh, this is fucked up. And I was like, I'm not the company that ran that. So I was like, oh, that, that looks really bad. And that person probably has to go through a whole fucking process for a $25 shirt. I'm like, that's fucked up. Like, if they're going to get that kind of shit quality. So me and Dylan were like, if we were going to do anything, we would oversee, where it's made, everything, it's printed right here in North Carolina. And it would actually be quality shit. It's not going to be a fucking, a shirt that you wear one time and then the next day. Dylan will tell you this. I got into a real big Walmart shirt kick. I was like, bro, they're $8. Like, they're $8. And Dylan will be like, why aren't you wearing any of your Walmart shirts? I was like, I washed them one time, bro. Belly shirts. We know more about hoodies, shirts, and hats than people should know in their life. All the research that went in for everything we use, the people that we work with to print the print the shirts and the hoodies and the fucking embroider the hats. We know far too much about it, and that's just so if somebody wanted something like, along the lines of merch, even though LaborLama is really a standalone brand for blue collar workers, like there's no mic jokes in it. But if somebody wanted that, at least they would be getting the money for what they paid for.
Yeah, quality.
Right.
And
instead of, paying $25 and then they're getting a fucking, a shirt that was printed by a kid in the Philippines on a fucking, and then he just, sends it to you and it's just made of shirt material.
Well, mad respect for them because they're doing it for pennies, but like that was the whole thing. But we ultimately wanted to
not mad respect for the companies.
No,
we're talking
no,
about like the
workers,
the children. The children they have doing it.
Yeah. Workers anywhere are.
Or if I can get a couple kids.
But I think the point that I'm trying to drive home though is like we don't want you to buy it just to buy it. We just figured if we offered something that was legitimately something you would want anyways, then it makes sense for us to promote.
But we still got to promote it. So sorry, guys.
Yeah.
That we're done with our LaborLama promotion. We're going to get into this last Am I the Asshole? So you guys can get back to whatever, trying to live a productive life before
you're probably stuck in traffic.
Right, before you got on this 1 hour fever dream that you're like, Mike said something about him getting molested and then by 3 dads. And I was like, no, you got the story wrong. That's one good thing. None of the 3 dads that I know of were diddlers.
None of the trauma that you blocked out or anything.
I might have. I had this one like reoccurring dream where I'm on a slide and I'm a little kid. So I think something happened to me on a slide. Maybe I
shouldn't laugh, but
fucking, if I word it in a funny way, that's to make people laugh. Here's the thing. I know everybody processes trauma differently, but I could not imagine myself being 35 years old and just sulking. Like, I had a bad childhood. Fuck, that was in my childhood. I have kids now. Like, if my kids have a shit life and I'm like, it's because I had a bad childhood, guys. Fuck that. I'm not even going to get into that. Listen, it's always good to give your kids a better life than you had. 100%. And mine was like so rough, I almost won by proxy. Like I could have walked away, honestly, and they still would have had a better life because Amy's a wonderful mom. So I still have that option on the table. If I hear that fucking enchilada song one more time, though, might have to pack it up and go. All right. So am I the asshole for bringing a much older guy to Easter dinner after my dad left my mom for someone close to my age? Hey, look, I can understand this kind of drama. Very good. Oh, Dylan's going to restart his facial camera. We want to get Dylan's smiling pretty face, his reactions when I'm reading the story.
That means we're at an hour now.
Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry. I'm going to read this pretty quick, and then we'll fucking wrap up. What's so funny is I was like yawning before, and Dylan was like, oh, you're not getting tired? I was like, brother, I'm locked in. Now he sees. I, 18 female, moved out at 15 when I got into boarding school abroad. When I was 12, my dad, 45 male, cheated on my mom, 43 male, with a woman, 26 female, who was 20 at the time. They ended up divorcing, and he's been with her ever since. She's only a few years older than me, and for the past few years, she's been at every family holiday. She's clearly only after his money, but he's too stupid and stubborn to understand. Well, listen, if he's sending this kid to boarding school abroad, I want a piece of that money too. So to ask your dad if I'm a little bit older than what he likes. I'm 32, okay? A little bit older than what he likes, and also I have a penis.
But you'll make up for it.
I ain't into that gay shit, but
you'll make up for it.
If he's wanting to give me money, I'll be his friend. Why don't they have that, man? Give me a sugar friend. Like, why does it always got to be some sex? Why do I got to bang an old woman or a dude to get money. Give me a sugar friend, like a guy that's just like, look, I'm a weird person, all right, and I smell, but I got loads of money. And if you were just my friend, I would. If you're hearing this podcast and you're like, man, I have a lot of money, I will be your friend.
Isn't that what people try to do with you since you got all the money?
Oh, bro, that's the funniest shit. You can ask Dylan this too. So many people will be like, whoa, fucking amazing, and like hitting me up and stuff like that. And I'll just be like, y'all know, like, I'm not wealthy in the slightest. Never hearing from him again. And I was like, but it's a blessing though, because then you like suss out bad people in your life.
Yeah.
Dylan's
I fucked up.
He's fucked forever. This year for Easter, I flew back home and asked a friend of mine, 38 male, to come with me and pretend to be my boyfriend for just a few days at my home. That's weird that she's friends with a 38-year-old male and she is 18.
Yeah.
How do you make an adult friend like that?
I think it goes into it.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind. Sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Well, I'm thinking of my dad. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck? I wouldn't cheat on my wife with especially a 20-year-old woman. That's.
Well, I'm sorry, they're children. Like, I mean, they act like children. And I remember 20-year-old.
I know, because they'll be like, well, think about the stuff you did when you. I was like, that's what I want to prevent. No, you're so nice. Which I have my daughter's she's the best daughter you could ask for. She's a very book kid. I'm just gonna put it like that. She's not really like into like learning or anything like that, but she's 11. She's not into boys in the slightest. She's like me. She's very, very comedic, very caricature, always doing like, she'll be coming down the hallway. She likes doing weird faces at people. She's
comfortable. She's comfortable with who she is rather than
like she draws on her face at school, and her teachers are like, you don't need to be doing that. And I'm like, why? Who the fuck does it affect if she draws a mustache on her face? And they're like, well, it can be a distraction. From what? What the fuck are we learning here that's I'm gonna apply in my life?
But that's when they also get the chance to do it. Like when I was going through high school, like I think I was 15 when I first got my first mohawk and did like multicolored hair and all this stuff. And my principal jumped my ass all the time. And then finally my dad went down. Not finally, my dad was always like willing to go to bat if I was in the right. And well, either way, he would go down and, be like, I'm the dad. But one of the things that the principal said is like, your son has like a multicolored mohawk. And my dad's like, yeah, he's fucking 15. This is when he's supposed to do it, not when he's like 23 and has a job.
Right,
like, let him get it out now. And
like, I'd be concerned if he was like 42 doing this. Yes. But at 15, I'm okay with it. Express yourself, kiddo. Oh, I got to get into this story. We're over an hour. After dinner, my dad pulled me aside and told me he felt uncomfortable with the situation. I told him I didn't do anything wrong and that after him, love has no age. That has an age. Like we said.
Well, once again, this is basically like petty revenge almost.
I get it.
It's not. She's just straight fucking with him.
Normally, when someone says love has no age, that person's going away for like 15.
If the older person says that.
Yes.
If the younger person.
Which I say that, and they only get like 3 years. Yeah. Slap on the wrist. He told me that I ruined everyone's Easter by being selfish and bringing someone his age to dinner. I flew back to school, but now I'm getting messages from a few relatives saying I should apologize to my dad and break up with my boyfriend. I haven't responded. I don't think I'm in the wrong because he's made my life uncomfortable since the moment he cheated on my mom. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole.
So you forgot part of it. So let me
oh shit, did I skip over?
Did it not have?
Nope, don't have anything about it.
Oh yeah, it was in like all the updates, and the updates weren't that interesting. So I'll just say it just to.
Dylan does reword a lot of these for me because I already cannot read. So if someone's punctuation's off, then I just get all fucked up.
So the story behind how, like, I guess he works at like a bookstore or something. She goes in there, and like they've kind of developed a friendship.
Molest kids with the book trick. Got it.
But he like. She's from Europe and then moved to America, and so she doesn't have like a lot of friends and everything, so they're just literally friends. Like there is no romance there, but like he was recently divorced, so he wasn't able to like go to a dinner, and so she's just like, oh fuck it, come with me.
Fuck, your kids don't love you anymore?
And then I don't think that he has kids. I think he was just but it was one of those scenarios where she was just trying to be nice, like give him a place to go, and then also like jab dad for being like, hey, you cheated on mom, and like have like a child as your significant other now. So
Listen, I don't even know what advice to give to that because this has been so fucking long. I don't know. Stop being weird, family.
Well, she's not the asshole, and like, yeah,
Yeah, not that. I mean, not the asshole. It does suck. It does suck that because I went through that phase where I was like, oh, you know, like I hate you and I don't like you, and then it became, I want to say, apathetic, and now it's just like it feels goofy that you like looking back at that kid crying on the phone. It was just like, man, to think about when you got older and how much of a non-problem that would be in your life is like I think that's the most beautiful part of when someone in your life causes you like pain or something like that, and then you just get to the point where you're like, I don't even give a fuck you exist, bro.
well, I think that's part of growing though. Like, I mean, you have to go through that shit in order to be able to like
Now
understand it correctly.
there is a thing. So this is like right when I had started popping off. I started posting some skits. This is back when I was doing the stand-up comedy. And he had posted a status about like how all three of his sons were amazing. Like my sister goes over to his house and goes to his little cult church. We'll get into like his shit
Later.
We'll get into his shit later. I have to talk to a lawyer about what I can truthfully say that really goes on. I'll show y'all videos. I don't give a fuck. His little cult church.
He's sent me lives of it before, and he's like, "Hey, check this out."
It's
like,
rough. It's rough, and I can't wait to show y'all. But she goes over to his little cult church. He disliked my sister so much that when
and that's his
when
actual
she
daughter,
yeah, that's
right?
his actual daughter, and they're both real fat. But I mean, she's like 4. You've seen Crystal, big old gal. I love her. Look, I love you, sis. Big gal. Get it from your daddy. Now they're like the same weight. But when she was born, he told my mom or some shit. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to not state things right, but it was definitely his decision that she go live with my grandparents. And she did. She lived with my grandparents from the time until which was the catalyst of what, you know, got me out of the house and I started living my life as a homeless person. Yeah, fucking, and now she goes over there to his little church and plays family, and I'm just like, and it's sad. I mean, that is sad that she fucking didn't have that connection, and now.
Well, I mean, for some people, it matters.
It's not real.
Like,
It's not real for him though, because if they do anything, he'll immediately post a status trashing them. But I say that to say, you know, he posted this status about how he raised, you know, these 3 wonderful sons, and he does like a little excerpt about each of us, and mine happened to be the biggest, and I'm like, it pissed me off to no end. That I think that was actually the catalyst to me and. You know, I was like, I don't give a fuck what you say online. You can post pictures of me and shit. Don't say you fucking raised me, because you didn't raise me. You were not there. There's no moment where I was hungry and dad came to the rescue. There was no moment where any of this happened. You know, he still to them refers to me as his son, and I've severed that connection. But which is, I mean, I'm telling you, it's fucking liberating when you do that. But I was just like, man, and I've always been driven to do something in entertainment. I've always been the kid that like joked around and shit like that. And I was like, you know, I want to be a comedian and I want to tell jokes and make people laugh. And when he said that, I mean, that was like when it like locked in for me. I was like, one day I am going to get big enough where I can at least look at, you know, 1 million people one time to be able to tell them that what you just said was a fucking lie.
Yeah.
And that's crazy because I told Amy that years ago. But yeah, guys, this has been an awkward fucking podcast. Look, and I'm gonna, as I'm editing this, I'm like, what the fuck was going on? Half of it's gonna make me laugh. 99% of it's gonna make me laugh. Like, if there's some hard cuts in here, that's definitely because I'm protecting others' feelings who I do care about, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll get into more like Michael lore. We'll get into Dylan lore. My lore is just fucking like, you're just like, whoa, brother, what? Dylan was like, he had a pretty normal. Everything was like normal. Everything. Mine was like, yeah. So none of it was normal. Everything was just weird, and everything went about the weirdest way imaginable. I do want to state this, okay? Out of the people, something in my mouth. My mouth is so dry because I ran out of water fucking 40 minutes ago. But out of everybody who is blood related to me, my brothers, mom, if I did not message them first, we would not talk at all. Unless my brothers want to borrow money from me. That's the fucking one thing, man. I just don't talk. I'm happy us not talking.
Yeah.
If you're not like, hey,
if you're only gonna come for an ask instead of just to
Right.
actually like spend time.
I could never imagine being a grown man, and that's one thing is I'm very fucking Dylan tell you that I'm very prideful too. That fucking I'm not gonna go. Can I borrow you 20? Fuck that shit. And it's like I said, you know, my grandpa died, and he was like this real big hoarder. And right now he has like all this junk and shit. And I'm like, fucking, you're asking me for $20, bro. There's so much scrap metal and shit back there. You can fucking load up, go take a load, go make fucking $150.
Yeah.
And that's just me though. I'm just like, I'm not gonna fucking.
Well, you got the hustler, like instead of being like the victim mentality where you need somebody else to
Oh, he's
bail
the
you
bro.
out,
Look, I love my brother. He's the first to be like, well, you know, I had a hard life. I was right there, bitch. Like fucking, and he is the most loved from, you know, their dad. I fuck up and I'll still call him dad sometimes because I didn't, you know,
that was his name.
Yeah, for 26 years that was his name and that was his fucking role. And even when I found out that this other guy, I was like, I had this really stupid, well, you're still my dad, even though he's done no dadly things in his fucking life. But I mean, and what's so funny is what like finally severed that whole fucking connection too is he had jumped on my middle brother. Now my middle brother, he don't really ever ask. If he asks for money, like he really, really needs it. Once again, I'm like, bro, there's fucking ways to make. There's so many ways. It's just like, you know, fucking hustle, essentially.
Yeah.
But he's a sweetheart. He's a Pooh Bear. Doesn't really fucking do anything. And this man posts this like long ass how he's fucking ungrateful and no good and won't fucking help him out. And his wife needed a ride to the doctor's office, and my brother was doing something like working or some shit. I don't fucking know. But he wasn't there to take her to the doctor's office. He posted this like long ass fucking status. And I was like, I lit into his ass and I was like, bro, you were never a dad to him. How do you expect this shit? And I think that's what finally, because now it was no longer, you hear family talking shit about family. But as soon as that outsider does it, you're just like, fuck that shit. We can fight now. But all right, guys, this has been an episode of Mike and Dylan. Hey, this has been the most dramatic episode.
Yes, by far.
By far the most dramatic episode. And, leave us comments on whatever platform you're listening on. We can look at those comments if you want to know any more details. We can round up some questions. We can get into some further stuff. One day we'll do like a 4-part series where we'll just kind of like Joe Dirt it and start from the beginning. And then you know what? I'll fall in love with the one that got away, and my wife will come in here and shoot everybody. All right, guys. Later.
Thanks.
I think that was a good send off, right? We weren't supposed to say anything else. I'm gonna leave this in here, by the way.
Just tune in next time.
Yeah, tune in next time for. You can leave a comment.
An hour and a half.
And hey, look, share it with your mom, man. She deserves to laugh. Share this podcast. You see a friend and he looks sad. Make him happy. Show him that his life could have been worse.
Yeah,
could have been mine.
Could have 3 dads.
Yeah, could have been 3 dads, dodging molesters. There's so much stuff, man. So much stuff.
Oh yeah, there's the stories you've told me and
I tell them like they're normal too. Like people will be like, yeah, we went to Buc-ee's when I was 6. That's how I tell these like horrible traumatic stories, and people would be like, are you okay, man? And I was like, yeah.
Well, and the thing with Mike is he thinks he tells everybody these stories. So he's like, I told you about this, right? And I'm like, nope. So he goes deep dive into
brother?
It.
I was like, oh, well, let me catch you up on the lore. But it's just, I don't know. It's A, I have no shame. And B, looks really fucking cool, by the way. Going through that much shit. Like, if I died next week of a heart attack, people would be like, yeah, like he might have been broke, but look where he came from. Like that's really cool though when you think about that. Like you ain't got to be like super successful for people to be like, yeah, but he did a lot better than what he was supposed to do.
Oh, the cards were definitely stacked not in your favor.
Definitely stacked. If there's
honestly, if it wasn't for Amy, you would be probably closer to the other side of the spectrum instead of where you're at.
Oh yeah, no, I'd have died of a drug overdose if it wasn't for her. She literally came in and saved my life. Like literally, if it wasn't for her being like, look, bro, I ain't gonna have a drug addict raise my kids, then I would have never even attempted to stop.
Well, because I had the great upbringing, like my parents solid and everything like that, and then like, yeah, from fucking 18 to 23 was a shit show of like me wilding out.
The thing I hate the most is people will be like, well, drugs are it helps people with trauma, and I'm like, bro, I've known way more people addicted to drugs that have died who had a great family life, everything was good, and they fucking broke their leg during PE, and that's what literally started it.
Yeah,
drugs are fucking, especially opiates, man. They were real predatory with that shit. So
yeah, I had friends that did it, and like they just did it for fun. Like, I mean, back in that time frame,
Yeah,
was
someone
when
had
they
a
were,
friend that like fucking had a
when
tooth
they were
removed
handing them
and
out for like Tic Tacs, like
everything.
everybody
Yeah,
had it, and like it's like prescribe, 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 and so they were just like in everybody's medicine
but
cabinet.
I hate
And
that because I saw this one guy. You know, he's some guy on TikTok and he makes like these real inspirational things for drug addicts, which I'm like, it's cool and everything like that. But he's like, you know, it's because of trauma, and he's like giving like this rationale to it, and I'm like, like I said, I've known way more people who had their fucking head on their shoulders fucking succumb to a life of drugs from getting a tooth pulled than
or
I've
I
seen
mean,
someone that was like, well, I got molested, so I take the drugs because they make me feel less molested. I rarely see that. It's more, especially the kids that died from it. All my friends that died from fentanyl were from like decent families. Like these guys had 4-wheelers and yards and shit, and like
yeah,
fucking would
Richie
have
Rich.
have bonfires and stuff like that. And I feel like that was like a thing from the media to just kind of be like, well, you know, you did all these drugs because of something going on with you, and not that we created something that was super fucking addictive that killed a whole bunch of people. But I'm gonna stop before we have some black vans pull outside of the
Yeah,
studio. We'll get into some fun conspiracy theories, not sad conspiracy theories.
this
But
is gonna be an hour and a half.
yeah, sorry guys. We're gonna wrap up here. Like I said, leave a comment. Just tell us what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. If you want us to shut the fuck up and stop rambling and get on with the Am I the Assholes, just let us know, and we will see you next time.
Catch you later.